Hello, my motor enthusiasts. The 2024 F1 Japanese Grand Prix was a spectacle of skill, strategy, and surprises. Quadruple world champion in waiting Max Verstappen stamped his authority once again, coasting to victory and etching his name alongside legends like Clark, Senna, Schumacher, and Hamilton. But let's not forget the true star of the race, Sergio Perez, who with his consistent podium finishes is making quite an impression at Red Bull. Meanwhile, Williams had a weekend to forget, with delays, crashes, and no points to their name. Conversely, Carlos Sainz emerged as a shining star, with a spectacular move on Leclerc and a podium finish. Daniel Ricciardo, unfortunately, had a rather lackluster race, narrowly avoiding a penalty after a collision. Yuki Tsunoda once again impressed, outperforming his peers outside the Big Five teams. A real mixed bag at McLaren, with Lando Norris admitting the team is in a spiral after finishing a disappointing 5th place. Quite riveting, eh, folks? Whoa, what a race summary, right? I'm sure you're all revved up for more, and we won't disappoint. Firstly, let me introduce myself. I'm your devoted host, Enzo Watts, a steadfast follower of Formula One and all its wheel-to-wheel action. And accompanying me today, as always, is our esteemed sports commentator, William, whose insightful analysis keeps us on the edge of our seats.
Thanks for the warm introduction, Enzo Watts. It's a pleasure to discuss the exhilarating world of Formula One with you and our dedicated listeners.
Absolutely, William Turner. We come to you every day on the F1 Motor Fever podcast, dissecting all the action and drama in the world of Formula One. We are here because of your incredible support. So don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, leave us a comment or two, and share the podcast with friends and family. Your support fuels this show, and we couldn't do it without you. Now buckle up, folks. We've got some astonishing news coming up that I just can't wait to dive into. Why is it relevant? Because it's all about the sport we love, and it impacts our favorite drivers, teams, and the dynamics of the sport. I can assure you, you won't believe what I'm about to reveal. So stick around, and as we always say here at F1 Motor Fever Podcast, full throttle. So, on to the next races. We've got China on the cards for the 21st of April, followed by Miami on the 5th of May. Now let's just take a moment to appreciate Verstappen's staggering dominance. With 22 wins in 26 races since the start of 2023, he's clearly on a roll. If he wins in Shanghai, and who would bet against it, he would have only been defeated twice in a calendar year. This level of domination is rarely seen, eh?
Absolutely. It echoes the legendary reigns of Clark Lotus, Senna McLaren, Schumacher Ferrari, and Hamilton Mercedes. But as we've seen before, a clean victory doesn't always earn a spot among the winners. It's about the journey as much as the destination.
Quite right. And speaking of winners, let's talk about Sergio Perez. Now here's a driver who's really come into his own this season. With 3 second-place finishes in just 4 races, he's made a solid impression. He's comfortably sitting in 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, and his contributions have helped Red Bull take a commanding lead in Constructors.
He's been exemplary, indeed. The difference between him and Verstappen in both qualifying and the race is marginal, which speaks volumes about his performance. It seems like he's come into 2024 with a fresh mindset and a willingness to seize every opportunity that comes his way.
All in all, it seems we are witnessing the formation of a new dynasty in Formula One. The upcoming races promise to be exciting with this level of competition on the grid. Let's keep our eyes on the prize, shall we? Full throttle. Moving on to the less fortunate side of things, Williams seems to be in a spot of bother. Delays in chassis build, 2 major crashes, and no points on the board yet. It's been a rough start to the season, to say the least.
Absolutely. They're certainly in survival mode. The damage to Albon's chassis after the accident with Ricciardo, luckily, doesn't seem too serious. They're banking on better luck with their new chassis set for Miami.
One can only hope. Now on a brighter note, let's talk about Carlos Sainz, who's really stealing the show this season. 3 races, 3 podiums, including a win. He's in top form, isn't he?
That's right. He's currently the standout driver of 2024. His maneuver to overtake Leclerc was a perfect example of his racing prowess. Seems like he's thriving under the lack of pressure at Ferrari.
Quite the turnaround. On the flip side, Daniel Ricciardo is definitely in need of a breakthrough. Out-qualified again by Yuki Tsunoda, and with the collision at Turn 3 with Albon, it's been a string of unfortunate events.
Yes, quite the contrast. Being gobbled up at the start didn't help either. He could certainly use a change in fortune. But as we know, in Formula One, fortunes can change in the blink of an eye.
Indeed they can. Only time will tell. As the season takes shape, we'll be right here, keeping you updated on all the twists and turns. Full throttle. Further on Ricciardo, there's been some debate around the racing incident with Albon. The stewards deemed it as such, a common occurrence on the first lap. However, multiple replays suggest a touch of clumsiness on Ricciardo's part.
I beg to differ slightly. It's true that the incident could have been avoided, but let's remember that Formula One is a high-speed, high-pressure sport. These things do happen, especially on the first lap.
Well, I'm not entirely convinced. A seasoned driver like Ricciardo should have a better grasp of his track positioning. He'll be receiving a new chassis for China, so let's see if that gives him the boost he needs.
And speaking of boosts, Yuki Tsunoda doesn't seem to need one. He's been performing exceptionally well, bagging 7 out of the 11 points scored so far among the mid-tier teams. His confidence and maturity behind the wheel are clearly paying off.
On the flip side, McLaren seems to be falling behind. Comparing their performance 6 months ago at Suzuka, their progress hasn't been as expected. Norris finished 5th, nearly 30 seconds behind Verstappen, a significant time difference compared to last year.
I see where you're coming from, but I'd argue that this is part of the ebb and flow of performance in Formula One. Yes, McLaren didn't perform up to the standard we saw 6 months ago, but isn't it too soon to judge their season's progress based on one race?
I see your point, but I'm not entirely swayed. However, I'll definitely ponder it further. It's good to have these debates.
Absolutely. Disagreements can often lead to a broader perspective. As long as we keep an open mind, we can continue to learn and grow.
That's something we can both agree on. Let's continue to delve deep into the intricacies of this fascinating sport. Full throttle. Reflecting on his performance post-race, Norris conceded that the team found itself in a spiral, and deservedly so, was beaten by Ferrari. That's a step back, but not all is lost as they find themselves in 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship.
That's true. Even though it's been a bit of a backslide for McLaren, it's worth remembering that Mercedes has faltered yet again, and Aston Martin is somewhat limited with only one driver earning consistent, substantial points.
Agreed. It's a bit of a roller coaster season so far, with a few surprises thrown into the mix. That's what makes this sport so intriguing, the unpredictability and sheer dynamism.
Absolutely. It's this unpredictability that keeps us all on the edge of our seats. There's still a lot of racing left this season, and I'm sure we'll see more twists and turns in the races to come.
No doubt about it, and we'll be here every step of the way, bringing our listeners all the latest updates from the world of Formula One. So, stay tuned. William Turner, have you had a butcher's at what the internet has to say about the recent race?
Indeed I have. Here's a comment that caught my eye. Content Puff says, quote, "Ricciardo, Albon out of the race as race is red flagged on lap 1, unquote." That's been a big talking point.
Blimey, some strong reactions to that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Nescentia commented, quote, "Oh my god, Williams are going to be running karts for a month at this point." Then Call Me New responded, quote, "Going to fetch the F1 Academy themed car." Ty Butler 2020 further added, quote, "Leah Block debut," unquote.
Ha! The internet's got a sense of humor, I'll give them that.
And it doesn't stop there. Boulder the Rock lamented, quote, "Time to order a truckload of parts again. How many job orders are we at now?" unquote. And Diamond Moonlight added, quote, "Somehow, Toothpaste Williams came back."
They've got a point. It's been a torrid time for Williams. But let's see how the rest of the season pans out. You never know what's around the corner in Formula One.
Exactly. The unpredictability is what makes this sport so exciting.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of F1 Motor Fever podcast. We had a cracking discussion today. delving into the twists and turns of the last race, the surprise moves from teams, and the fans' reactions. It's always a pleasure to have you all with us.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed today's show, do subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. You wouldn't want to miss any of our episodes, would you? Also, do us a favor and spread the word. Tell your mates, your co-workers, your taxi driver, heck, even your nan.
If you've liked what you've heard, or if you've got a different viewpoint, do drop us a comment. We love hearing from you. And remember, we're on air every day, so make sure you tune in again for your daily dose of all things Formula One.
And trust me, we've got some exciting stuff lined up. You definitely won't want to miss out. But for now, it's time to put our motors to rest and gear up for the next episode.
That's right. Thanks again for joining us. We're looking forward to the next episode. And as we always say, pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road. Our channel's content is pure gold. Cheerio.